It's the Common Man Podcast with your host, David Redman.
Jim Mann, thank you for joining us today. I'm going to give it an enthusiastic intro. It's very
great.
unlike me.
Yes.
We've been chatting about all the different things that you've been into for the past few years, and we have so much overlap, which I love, and our story could go so many different directions, you know?
Well, I was listening to your last couple of episodes, and they're very inspiring, good stuff. But I thought, man, mine's going to be boring. I was like, I'm squeaky clean, you know? So I thought, man, I've never smoked. I've never even cussed.
And trouble even found you anyway.
So I guess we're done here. Thank you.
That was fun.
No, it's wherever direction you want to take it.
Well, you have something coming up. I tried to look online at your CV and get any videos, and I just mentioned it, but I couldn't find anything on his radio. Like I couldn't find anything there. All your stuff said error message. Jim's videos are no longer posted. So what do you have coming up?
Yeah. Well, what happened? Let me explain that.
Yeah, please.
Because once somebody leaves the station, they just kind of
They got
wipe
to
it
pause
clean.
the content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can't even find it, which I don't like looking at my cell phone.
Well, maybe they'll reload it because that would make for
Maybe.
many good times.
Yeah.
How long were you with his radio?
I was there 17 years, 18? No, yes. That sounds right. 17 years. So, yeah.
And how did you get going in that space?
In radio or?
Yeah, at radio.
Well, that's a good question because, I grew up in Baltimore. And no one ever mentioned anything about, I sound like I'm in radio or anything until I moved to Florida, because, I don't hear myself the same way, but everywhere I went, people go, "Are you a DJ?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Because of my face? Is that what you're saying? I got a face for radio?" Which I got that a lot too. But, literally probably after the 100th time, people saying,
Okay. What were you doing for a living?
well, I was going to college.
Okay.
That's why I went to Florida. Had a gazillion different jobs, but anyway, everywhere I went, ordering food or whatever, they go, "Wow, are you a DJ?" I'm like, "Are they hearing something I'm not hearing?" So finally, we had at the church I went to there, it's a little 10,000 seater.
Teeny.
Yeah. They had what was the number one contemporary Christian radio station in the country at that time.
Out of the church. What was the name of the church?
Carpenter's Home Church.
In what town?
Lakeland, Florida, right between Tampa and Orlando.
I've heard things about Lakeland.
Yeah. So I finally said, well, I'm kind of an introvert and I don't know, I can't talk more than 10 seconds. And I run out of stuff. I got to go read again so I can have something to talk about. But so I knew the guy who was managing the station. So I went up to him and I said, well, I feel like I need to get in the radio. Oh, I thought you were going to start crying. I'm sorry.
I should probably save that, but
Yeah. I said, how can I get in radio? Everyone's always telling me I need to be in radio, yada, yada, yada.
and he laughed in your face.
No.
You just said, Did you just hear me speak?
Yeah. I need to be in radio. Thank you. But he goes, well, and I thought he was going to say, well, there's an AM station in the next town, which is where most of the DJs started.
Of course.
It's a Southern Gospel station. You just go down there and you work it out.
Yeah.
And they even offered me a job, by the way.
Wow.
I knew them too.
And you were attending this church?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he goes, well, we actually need somebody this weekend if you're ready. I thought, oh my gosh, I think I left a puddle in the chair right there in his office.
And how old were you then?
I was 30. I was
in your 30s.
30s, yeah.
Okay.
32. I said, are you really here? He goes, yeah. But it's like 3 a.m. in the morning or something like that. I thought, oh, okay, well, no one to hear me. So they trained me on a really complicated looking board, which is not,
Right.
You learn one line and it's the same all the way across. But so I went on there and I was all ready. I was all excited and nervous and scared to death. And as soon as you hit the record or the play, on air button, Kermit took over my my voice box just tighten up, and I went to talk like this or something like that. Like, oh my gosh, what happened? I thought, well, at least it's 3 in the morning or whatever. No one's going to hear it. Phone bank just lights up. Like all my friends are calling in. What was that? I'm like, shut up. I'm hanging up. And they're basically mocking me, making fun of me. But
I guess they were just waiting for you to get on air, and it was live.
Yeah, it was live.
How long did you have to be there?
They're usually had 4-hour shifts, I think. I remember.
Wow.
And that's when we played on CDs. There's this little round disc things, and then the stop sets were on carts that looked like 8 tracks.
Wow.
So so you're constantly feeding stuff like that, and then a couple of years later, we got automation, the DAD automation I was telling you about before,
right,
where it's all on computer. It was so cool. We had 300 songs on one computer. That was a big deal.
Wow.
Now you got more than that on your phone.
It was like an iPod.
Yeah. So it was. That's how I got into the radio.
And so, how long were you there at that church? And when did you leave there? And did you go right from there to his radio?
Actually, I went. I was there for 6 years. They sold it to Moody Bible Broadcast, who offered them. I mean, it's a nonprofit radio station, so it's only worth $1 million or $2 million because you can't sell commercials or anything. But Moody Bible had a commercial frequency, and they didn't use it as a commercial. But they were able to sell it for a ridiculous amount. So they offered us $26 million, if I remember correctly,
to that church
for the station.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's big bucks, man.
So they took it.
Oh. And then Moody, did you go over to Moody?
No. I actually had the last. Well, they already had their own people.
Oh, they had their own people.
But we were playing contemporary music that lots of the churches thought was of the devil, of course, because it was upbeat.
And Moody Bible's pretty tight.
They're more
conservative,
which is fine. It's
absolutely,
it all has an audience.
Absolutely.
But and I know when we first went on the air back in '76, it was one of 3 stations in the country that went on the air with contemporary music, and I wasn't working there yet, but I know that churches were just so mad with us because we're playing that devil's music.
Wow, what would it be an example of that music?
Like DC talk,
okay,
stuff like that. With and as before rap even came. Ooh.
Wow. Oh yeah, on Christian radio rap.
Yeah, we played the first rap.
Praise the Lord, man. I love rap. Andy Mineo is a Christian rapper that crushes it. And my son, he's 6. He listens to it.
Yeah, I'm
pretty sure. And he has this one lyric, and so we quote it in our house. Not today, Satan. It's some elderly lady that they rubbed into the track. Not today, Satan.
Well, the churches fought us on that until we gave away free air time for churches. Then we were the best thing ever. We love his WCIA is what it was. So, but that
you would let them come in and do spots to market themselves, and of course, then it's you know what? We're softening up to this.
Yes,
because they got a free commercial time.
Exactly, and
everybody was listening to you guys anyway because y'all were tip of the spear on that genre.
Exactly,
of Christian.
And we even had a Christian rock show on Saturday night.
No,
one of the first in the country.
Headbanging.
There wasn't a lot of that yet. It was like White Cross and White Heart and the Res Band, all that kind of stuff.
I don't know any of those.
What?
None. I know. I'm sorry.
Why am I here?
I know.
Okay. Well, anyway, here's a funny thing. Just to talk about how wide-reaching radio is. I went to Nashville that year, my first year in radio. This is still down in Florida.
Okay, still in Florida. That was your first year in. You went to Nashville for a gathering.
It's a radio conference and the Dove Awards. It's all all that time. And so I went there, and I'm going to the booth to talk to people, blah blah blah. And then I saw John and Dino Elefante. Do you know who they are?
Mm-mm.
They had Pachyderm Records. Well, John Elefante used to be the lead singer of Kansas.
Oh wow!
Have you heard of Kansas?
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I saw him there, and he was Christian. He left there, and he was under contract. He couldn't sing for record anything for 5 years because his voice was a signature voice on Dust in the Wind and all that stuff. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to go meet him. And most people didn't even know who he was because they didn't have the rock show, but I had the rock show. So I went down there and like, hi. I said, I'm Jim Mann. He goes, you're Jim Mann? This is the leader of Kansas.
Oh, man.
Knew who I was.
Oh, that's cool.
I said, yeah. Do I owe you money? What's going on? He says, we listened to your show on satellite in their studios in L.A.
Man, that's wow.
And so they took me to a separate room and we chatted for an hour and a half. I thought, man, I like this radio thing.
Stuff has reach and you never know.
And they invited me to come to their studio.
And all Christians are super kind. And so, that's
exactly.
that happens to everyone, actually,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stories about radio. But the thing is, let me back up a little.
Back away, man.
Let me back
Whatever
up.
Wherever you want to go.
Before I was even born. This actually goes back to my mother. I don't know if I ever told you the story or not.
I don't know.
My mother was born.
Most of the time when you're talking, I'm just like
listening, not listening.
I'm listening
to somebody else behind me. No, my mom was born with polio.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah,
but connect the relevancy with where we are. And so, what was the deal there?
Well, I mean, she had no muscle development in her legs and her arms, and so these ladies came by the house. My mom was like 5 years old and just scooting through the house like a seal. And they were just inviting people to church, and they saw my mom scooting by. They go, "Can we pray for her?" Because back then you were just crippled, right?
Yeah.
And
no chair.
Yeah, she didn't yet. I don't know if they would give her one later, but she was just.
You didn't tell me any of this, man.
See,
dang, bro.
I know. So they went. They prayed for her, and they went on, and my mom just scooted on. They're like, "Hey, whatever." And then the next morning, they heard all this commotion coming out of my mother's room, and they run in there, and she's standing up.
No.
For the first time, full muscle development in her legs and her arm. She has to learn to walk at 5 years old. And they go, well, maybe there's something to this God.
What?
So they went to that church.
Are you serious? You
promise.
are bull-essing me, aren't you?
No.
You're killing me, bro. So how old were you then?
Me? When
Yeah.
my mom was 5?
No. Okay. That's why I was confused. So this was a story about your mother when she was little.
Yeah.
Okay. And so at 5, people came in and prayed for her. And as a child, she had no use of her legs.
Right.
And they prayed for her. And the next day.
Yeah, overnight, I don't know why it didn't happen
Miracles.
just then, but it happened.
Did
like
you hear
overnight.
Dallas's story on the first episode?
I did.
Man, it's a
Yeah.
miracle. We didn't even really get to look at how beautiful obedience can be and what God and how, I don't know, the pathway of a miracle. I don't understand any of it.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful.
We try to understand and we think we have it figured out. And then God's like, nope.
I'm glad. You know what? We would probably try to can it and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we get into this thing, well, you're not healed because you didn't have enough faith.
Or you didn't pay enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would monetize and and he would be like,
Yeah. They're never going to get this. Yeah.
So
because of that, my grandparents and of course all the siblings, they all got saved. And now like 90 some of my family are all Christ followers. Some are
Because
in the
of
ministry. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of changed the direction of my family.
Wow.
And so yeah, that was kind of a big deal. And the weird part is, and I don't know why it happened this way, my oldest cousin, who's 10 years older than me, by the way, and still alive, she was born with polio.
62.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
16 a few.
Yeah, something like that. And they had my mom pray for her, and she was healed. I'm like,
The same people?
no, my cousin was born with polio, and they asked my mom to go and pray for her, which is like, okay,
What?
does she have like a polio ministry?
Oh my God.
It almost seems like crazy to say that. But neither one have ever had any effects. I mean, it's not like, oh, I see that something was wrong with you at one time. I mean, there's no sign of ever having that. I I think my cousin says she has high arches because of it, but I don't think that has anything to do with it. I thought, okay. I don't know about polio.
I'm not sure I like this exchange.
That's right. So anyway, because of that, like I say, my whole family, you know, I grew up thinking everybody's a Christian.
Yeah.
You know, when I got saved at 5, I thought, oh, finally, throw away my past. Because, you know, I never had any backsliding, you know. Of course, we grew up, you know, where they said, well, drinking's a sin, smoking, everything's a sin, that kind of thing.
So real strong rules, which are reasonably healthy.
Yeah.
And great ideas.
Yeah. I mean, it's smart not to do those things, but it's not like God's like going like this if you say something bad or like, I mean, I just really thought if someone was drinking, they're not going to heaven. I mean, it's just the way. And so probably because of that, there was no alcohol in my family at all. But and now that I'm above 20 or 30,
right.
I just don't do it because I never have. And why start something that's not healthy anyway?
I stopped.
No way. You're looking great.
Thanks.
When you stop? This morning?
No. Some other coffee, please. I'm just kidding. No, it was probably like 4 months ago.
Wow.
I was, you know, for probably the past 8 months, my son is 6. And so everything I do, it credentials it as being reasonable. And the Spirit had been just like impressing upon me how dangerous that is.
Yeah.
And I'll do a bunch of unconventional things so that I don't credential stuff that has high probability failure issues associated with it. That's really crazy language, but that's how I think about it. Certain things are high probable traps.
Yeah.
You know, like gardening doesn't have a high probability of trapping you.
No.
But like alcohol has I would say like 60% chance of trapping the user. Maybe higher, right?
Yeah.
And the Spirit was just, he kept like showing me that, you know, and I wasn't like hard-hearted. I was just like, and that's hard-heartedness to a very soft and, you know, whatever. I wasn't really embracing what God had for me. And my buddy Cody, he's going to be on in a few weeks. He stopped, and I was like, praise the Lord, right on, bro. And then one day out of the blue, like 4 months ago, I'm just sitting in my chair in the house, no big deal, not even having a drink or anything. And the Spirit was like, you're done. Like that just came into me. Like I might've been playing guitar or like doing nothing.
Right.
And it was in the middle of like something spoken in myself, you're done. And of course, as soon as it came in, I played hard to get. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean I'm done? Like, what does that mean? Like, like you're not even really framing the context, you know? I'm like playing hard to get with God, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, you are done. And I was like,
wow,
I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm done with alcohol. Is that what you're saying? And he just said the same thing. You are done. And I said, I'm done. And it's a strange thing to not do something that everyone does.
Right.
And you're not doing it because God is inviting you to something better.
Yeah.
And you don't know what that better is.
Right.
And that's the point. That's what faith is. If he says something, if we can register and like process and do, then on the other side of that, either he's going to be there or a more beautiful life.
Yeah.
And I leave a beer in the fridge. I look at it and I'm like, I said, you know, it speaks to me still, but I'm just like, hey, I know that he has something for me instead. That's way better.
Yeah. And coming from my angle, somebody who's never drank and always was taught is, you know, you can't go to heaven if you drink. So, wow, it kind of messes with me with Jesus making that his first miracle. Is he not going to be there? But then now I'm at the point I finally realize, okay, that's kind of stupid because, and I'm comfortable around people who do drink. It doesn't bother
me too. I don't care
if someone drinks. I used to. I'm like,
I prefer not to talk about it because it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fine. I used to go to Nashville to hear my son play in bands and stuff, and it's always in a dive because that's a Nashville thing.
Oh, man.
And, before I wouldn't be able to go in there, but I just went up to the bar. You have like a Coke or anything? He goes, yeah, no problem. And so I said, I'm driving. No, they don't think twice about it either, other than how much money they make. But still, and I just sit there and watch my son play. But it doesn't bother me at all. But the thing is, I've never heard anybody say, wow, man, alcohol really saved my marriage.
No.
There's never something good it does.
No.
Just
that's true.
It'll grab a hold of you.
It can get you.
And especially if you have an addictive behavior.
Yeah. And I would even say like this probably could be like bother people. Mm-hmm. But if you want to see if it's an issue, just go without it.
Yeah.
And then take notes on what happens. And if you start to think about it,
yeah,
it's already like in the roots of the tree.
Right.
Because the fruit is the thought, and it's already in the system. It's just growing fruit as it's been living in us. That's what happens to me.
Yeah,
I'll see it or it'll cross my mind. And again, I wasn't all up in it. I'm like volunteering at church, and like it. So it's not like I was like trying to hide a secret.
Mm-hmm.
But God wanted me to live in a way. The word He wanted. He wants us to live set apart. He wants us to be in the world, but not of the world. Yeah. And for me, this is one of the ways in which he was saying, I want you to operate, but I need you above reproach in this regard because I have work that I'm doing with people.
Yeah.
And this will start conversations, and it has already. I've been around family, and they're like, why aren't you? Like, what's going on? Over the holiday, young family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, picking and choosing my words, and because you don't want to make anybody feel bad. And all I just kept saying was, is that I've used it as a soothing tool, which is super dangerous, or I've used it as a celebration tool, which is super dangerous too.
Yeah.
Because then hooks can come in faster when you're really high and really low. And I want to see for a season how to be with God in those similar circumstances.
Right.
And they were like, oh, right on. Cool. Good on you, Uncle David.
Uh-huh. Look at that. I'm proud of you. You're growing up so fast.
When it takes this long to obey.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have eternity.
That's right. Well, yeah. So that's how I grew up. Totally. I was kind of like.
Where'd you get your humor from?
It's just the way I'm wired, I guess.
Nobody was like doing the dry humor.
No, I mean my dad had a good sense of humor, but I was just always known for the guy who was never serious.
Uh-huh.
And the thing is, people always go, if I'm gone for a while and I come back, they always go and they'll laugh at whatever I say, something stupid. And they go, when are you going to grow up? And I'm like, oh, maybe I need to be serious. So when I try to be serious, no one listens to me. They're like looking off. But they always talk about something I said, something funny.
Yeah.
So why do you want me to be serious when it's the funny part you like about me?
I know.
So I just ignore that totally. And
I hope that you help me be funnier.
I don't know. I don't know.
Am I lost cause?
To me, you're like talking to Shakespeare. Sometimes I have no idea what you're saying.
Bro, you're
I'm like, yeah, okay.
That was a joke. Good one. That was funny.
Yeah, I mean, you're such a deep thinker, and I'm like on the surface.
Oh, man.
And you're down here thinking about something. I'm like,
it wasn't by choice. I just had like such a plane crash of a young adult.
Oh,
it was just full wreckage and burning everyone else and burning me, and I just let God heal all that. And so now to start, it's easy, and you can start fires fast in the world,
Right.
you know, with stupid decision making. And so I'm like, oh gosh, man, I don't want any of this. And so that's why I'm always rethinking the think.
Yeah, I'm
That's stupid.
No.
But I feel very at peace as I get to think deeply about the implications of stuff.
Well, I mean, I wish I was a deep thinker, at least deeper than I am. I picture myself, this is how I am. Like the ocean is my life, and I'm just floating in an inner tube in the middle. No direction, no nothing, just do. And that's how, you know, I've never had, my only goals in life were to get married in my late teens, early 20s, have 6 kids by 30, and I met my wife at 30, so I couldn't even get my own goals out. But and then I never thought about what I wanted to do, you know, for a career. Like most guys, you know, they have it all plotted out, and you know, they want to do this and make this much by this point. And I'm like, and for that reason, I've never really made much money because I've been a children's pastor, which, you know, that's where the money is. And Christian radio, again. My first radio job, they offered me $15,000 a year. And it's the #1 station in the country.
I mean, just a decade ago, that's not very good money, man.
No, exactly. But no, even back in whenever that was, I was 30 something. It's still, my wife was a teacher making twice what I was making. And the teachers are crying because, you know, they weren't making much, which they weren't.
Yeah, that's a hard job. Thank you, all you teachers out there.
Yeah. I want to be a teacher in the summer when you don't have to work. But the other time, no, I'm no teacher. My wife is, though. So anyway, yeah.
I can only imagine. It just, when it's fun, I think it's actually silly to look at who, like the relaxed style that you approach life. And then you got to be in an environment where where that's really needed.
Yeah.
It's so needed because when we turn Christian radio on, we want to be refreshed.
Yeah.
And when we turn Common Man podcast on, you know what I mean? I don't think it's the same hunger.
Right.
We're like, we might want to dig deeper, like have some contemplative moments, but like Christian radio does a fantastic job. His radio, Christian radio, you in particular, man. I remember hearing you and not knowing you decades, a year before, 10 years before we met, but you just offered this brevity to the moment and just like, and it was nice.
Yeah.
And very calming and soothing. And I remember you telling story after story after story after story, just to like toot your own horn. I know you love like this embarrassing bragging, but like I remember you telling stories about, you know, being in environments and people would just come up to you with just thank yous.
Yeah. Weird. That's
just
so
thank
weird.
yous and thank yous and thank yous and thank yous. And you were with people that were that kind of more in the famous, like in the trying to come uppins,
Right.
you know, in there with their career. And you were just like, oh, well, I'm going to do this as best I can. And you just got all the thank yous.
I know.
And so much affection.
Yeah. I mean, of course, everyone deals with the imposter syndrome, but
Did you deal with that at all?
Oh my gosh, yes.
For real? Yeah.
I remember my first remote. It was, and back then we had this huge RV, you know, with the logos all over it and the big tower that went up.
Oh man.
And so I pulled in. It was for a skating thing, a youth night at a skating place. I thought, because I did the rock show, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna be so disappointed when I come out of the van. And so I come out and I'm making it so uncomfortable for everybody. I said, yeah, it's just me. You know, it's not Dave Kirby, the guy that used to do it. They go, aren't you Jim Mann? I said, well, yeah. They go, okay, well, that's who we're here to see. And I'm like, what? What is wrong with these people? I'm just little Jimmy Mann from Baltimore.
And God was using that relaxed, just humor.
It took me years to get over that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's embarrassing.
Of just letting yourself be who you were.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I know I'm nothing special because I'm on radio, but I mean, I understand that because they hear my voice all the time, they feel like, they know me or I'm part of their family, even though I don't know who they are.
Right. They do, man.
Yeah. And I thought, just let the magic of radio happen and stop getting in the way.
Yeah.
As long as some DJs think, well, I must be something. But, that's
play music.
Never happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all I do is pushing buttons and saying stupid things.
Have you ever met John Boy and Billy? I met
No,
John Boy on the beach one time when I was lifeguarding.
Really?
I could see you and him like hitting it off.
Really?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think he's still running strong in the North Carolina Raleigh market. Yeah. But,
I'll go there from here.
yeah, right. Well, he's not Christian radio. At least he wasn't last I taught, but he's more of like classic rock kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I saw him on the beach. I was lifeguarding and I recognized him. I don't know how, but I recognized him and I rode over to him and I said, man, what's up, bro? Thank you for what you do and all that. And he said, well, who can I give a shout out to? And he gave a shout out to my dad.
Wow.
And, and there's something powerful about what people do on the radio.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's not like this. I don't know what the monetization process is of all that, but, it's just cool. Like what's his radio's reach?
Well, we have 500,000 people.
500,000 people that listen.
Yeah, on a weekly basis. Wow. Yeah, so it's, if you get that in your mind, it'll make you nervous. If you picture how many people those are, but you only picture like people driving.
That's why I have things on the wall.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like just gets my center.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because you got like 1 million listeners, right?
Please.
2?
Yeah, no. Shoot.
It's happening.
We're just one conversation at a time, man.
Yeah.
So you ended up you did make it to Nashville for work or what? No?
No. That was
just for a convention you met Kansas.
Yeah, I met Amy Grant and she's like, she knew exactly where Lakeland was. And, she stopped everything just to talk. Sorry, but just to talk to me like I was important. She's got that kind of personality where, you're like the only person in the room.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, Lakeland, Florida. I have a picture of me in Lakeland on my Meemaws or Mimi's, whatever she called her. I'm like, okay, Amy, I got to go. Leave me alone. No, she was amazing. But yeah, I was trying to wrap my mind around the fact that I'm in an industry and I'm actually a part of it. Because, again, the
not
imposter
just a spectator.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. I can see that.
And it was funny because we would line up, all the artists would be in different rooms at this big hotel, and you got all these little DJs. They got their little ties on and their little cassette recorders.
And you didn't do any of that.
And I had a digital thing.
Oh.
When digital was so cool. And so they go in, and you can tell the artists are getting bored because people are going, so what are your musical influences?
Oh, man, the same question.
And then I go in, I just wing it because, it's the only way I can do it.
Praise the Lord.
And the artists would walk me to the door opened, we're laughing, and the next way he's there, ready for his little questions that they just finished answering 500 times. And they all remembered me. It's amazing because I'm sitting at Dove Awards and they come by and go, hey, Jim, man, they pick me out over everybody.
That's pretty cool.
I know. That was great. I thought, wow, God can use us if we are just ourselves.
Just be yourself.
Yeah. Which, I actually finally understood that my last 7 years at his radio is because.
And you were there 17.
Yeah.
And so your last 7,
the last really 7, I had Allison.
You settled in.
Well, it was Rob, Allison, and me. And Allison, she saw potential in me. That's how she is. She thinks everyone should grow, and she tries to make that happen.
Cool.
And so she said, we should put Jim in uncomfortable situations because he's so uptight. And so they send me out doing all these weird things, which it was way out of my box, but people loved it. And so all of a sudden I became like a big part of the morning show to where, people would ask, hey, is Jim Mann here? And I thought, it was so uncomfortable again to me. But at the same time, it was kind of nice. I thought, hey, I'm actually making a difference if they want to, meet me.
Right.
Because, if you're not popular on radio, then you're not successful.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what's the purpose of it?
Right.
But in the morning, my job, of course, Rob was like the anchor. He was like started it off. Allison, she was the female. She played that well.
What was the day in the life like?
In the morning show?
Yeah, like to do that, what was the day in the life like to be a person on the radio like that?
Well, the downside is I got up at 2 a.m.
So you had to get up at 2 a.m.
Yeah. I mean,
how many days were you on?
5 days.
So Monday you were on 5 days, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And you had to get up at 2. What time did you have to be in there?
I aimed for 3:30, but sometimes I didn't quite get up at 2. So as long as I'm in there by 4, I had time. But it was 8 different locations, like in Savannah and Charleston. We had Raleigh. So we have different news at each place. And so like Dale Gilbert was sending news, and I'd have to put the music bed under each one and then send them out to the different stations. And then we went over the stories we were going to talk about, yada, yada, yada.
When did y'all start?
We started at 6.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's a tough
Yeah.
day.
But the weird part is, I mean, it's just like 3 of us. Of course, by that time, they had us on video. I didn't get in the radio for video, but our whole morning show was on video.
We're not filming any of this.
Thank God.
I know, right? You get makeup in here ASAP.
Sad part is, I mean, there is a wall of 9 monitors over here where 3 guys were doing the video, and then we had a huge monitor there. We're surrounded. I probably have so much stuff in me, so much radiation. But and I always have to see my face, when I'm talking.
Tough.
Like
that would be tough.
I know. Anyway, so yeah, we would. But each talk break, like I say, Rob would kick it off and blah, blah. And then I was always, they called me the closer because they would talk about something and then they turn to me to say something funny and off the cuff, and then they go into a liner and back into the music.
And so the last 7 years, you were just banging.
I was just saying stupid stuff.
You were just
basically, in my mind anyway. And I thought, wow, this is too easy. Why am I getting paid for this? But then I realized, if you do what God made you to do, it should be easy, right? I mean, it should be natural.
Yeah.
I mean, not easy.
I'm trying to think if that's biblical.
Yeah. When you're in your zone.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I was out of my zone.
I think that's biblical. I mean, you can think
of course it is. That's why I said it.
I know, right? It's chapter and verse here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was great. I enjoyed it.
I think we hit seasons like that.
Yeah.
Where everything lines up and you're just in the space God has for you, even if it's hard.
Right.
And there's a rhythm that makes sense and you were prepped for it and you're in flow.
Yeah.
There's a really good book called Flow, and it's all about, we'll put info in the description below, but it's all about like the conscious mind kind of turns down.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you look up an hour later and you're like, oh my God, no, what was that?
Yeah.
And it's because you were immersed in a creative and focused act.
Yeah.
And so that's how you were just jamming it. Y'all's ratings were amazing.
Yeah. And it feels like I wasn't working.
Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. Because you stop thinking there's no friction in the work. It's just create.
But then there was irritating things like they took and I learned a lesson here too, because they took, promo shots of the 3 of us. and when it came back and they're showing us the pictures, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I look like their dad or something like that. And so I just assume they're all going to say, oh, look at you. Every one of them was saying, oh my gosh, you guys look great, but look at me. And I'm like, what? So it's not just me.
No, everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah, and then I realized that's so dumb. It's so dumb to even think about that. I mean, I've never been a pretty boy. No, really. I've never been a pretty boy. No arguing. No, I've never been ugly, but I've been a pretty boy. I've been an average, and I kind of like this myself because, of course, if God all of a sudden wanted to make me a pretty boy, that'd be fine because I'm already mature enough to take it. But so let's all pray for a miracle right now.
I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody is. The beautiful people are uniquely challenged.
Yeah, they are. Very few can handle being pretty. But anyway, I think I went through high school where no one even knew I was there. Because if I went back to a reunion, they were like, "Are you sure it's Towson?"
Were you in this year?
I promise.
Yeah, I played in Shaw's right next to you in this class for 4 years.
We dated.
That's even worse.
Yeah, I didn't date anybody in high school. I was tiny.
Dude, how in the heck did you stay married?
What?
Get with those hours.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of weird because my wife owns an after-school care.
Oh, man.
So, I'd come home at like 1 o'clock-ish.
In the afternoon.
Yeah, and she is leaving, and my kids, because they all went to the after-school care and either worked in it, or were a part of it. And then
How
they
long
get
has
home.
she been there? How long has she owned that one?
16 years, that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those 7 years when y'all were just crushing it, she was there in the afternoons.
Yeah, she, like I say, and then she'd come home at 7, but I went to bed at 7.
Right.
So we got along great.
Man.
35 years.
Managed to have children.
Yeah, we had 4 of them.
Any secrets to that season for young marrieds that are dealing with crazy everything, and also the language gets really problematic, I think, for people that are angry about the other ones working. Stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how did y'all work through that?
Well, my wife and I were total opposites. I mean, you just
got real serious, bro. This is awesome. I just saw your serious face.
So anyway, she comes from a family of all leaders. It's her 2 brothers, and her dad's a pastor, and her mom, who's passed away a couple years ago, but they're all fierce leaders. In fact, when I first met them, I thought, they're like arguing and stuff. I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to get a divorce, and I'm just coming in the family. And then they go, where y'all want to eat? Like nothing ever happened, but it's just all strong personalities, butting heads constantly. And then but that's their language. Whereas my family, I've never even heard my parents argue.
Whoa.
Much less fight. I think once my dad shifted his eyes at her, and that was huge. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, there was no tension in my family growing up. And so like I say, my wife and I are totally opposites, and which is good. And I keep saying, God, why in the world did you have me marry her? Not that I'm questioning whether I should be married to her, because I totally know I did married the right person. But I think she just, someone there to kick me in the butt, because otherwise I would just sit there, float in the ocean on a inner tube.
The lazy river.
Yeah. And it's not like she has like this path that she wants to be on, but she's like, just give her a project. And then she just blows that out of the water, and you gotta yank it out of her hands if you ever want her to stop, which is, we're trying to figure out what to do with this business now when the kids are all, going to be leaving. Still have a kid at home. Yes, I do. He's amazing. But yeah, I mean, eventually I think we're just going to grow it. That's what I'm thinking. But that's a whole nother story. Okay. Sorry. I'm going off on another rabbit trail.
So are you still in Lakeland, or you've left Lakeland? How long? And you've been in his radio for 10 years, and you're crushing it for 7 years.
We're going back there again. Sorry.
Well, you're like, I still like to talk. I like to hear how when did things change for you? After being at his radio for a minute. Because your season shifted hard.
Yeah. Okay. Like when I left.
I don't know.
Because
you were in it hot, like crushing it.
Yeah, I was like at the top of my game, so to speak.
Right.
But you get tired of getting up at 2 a.m.
I was wearing.
Yeah. And then Allison, she went and adopted a little girl in Burundi. And so she was taking time off because, you're taking a girl out of a village.
Wow.
Into America. She doesn't even speak English or anything. The girl's brilliant now. I mean, she's incredible. She speaks better English than I do. And but anyway, that's a whole different thing. So,
So what was that? Like you don't have to jump ahead. Like what? Why did she pick that? Why'd she pick Burundi?
I don't know. She
Husband?
They
Was
just
she married?
They had, I don't know what the situation. They have a son, and I don't know if she just didn't want to have another biological one. She thought maybe she can just help someone in like a poor village or something.
Oh.
Or, I don't know her thinking. I'm not speaking for her, Allison, in case you're listening, which I know you are. But I don't know. I should know because I've heard the story 100 times.
Interesting.
She lived it out in front of us. But yeah, I think they just kind of matched her with somebody.
Yeah.
Is probably what it was. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so she was going, and then she decided not to come back.
Oh wow! I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I mean, she's so adventurous. I mean, they did a renovation that was on Magnolia Network.
Oh wow!
First time swappers or first time renovators or something like that.
Magnolia picked them up.
Yeah, and she's been on Today Show for other things she's done. I mean, she's exhausting. She does so much, but that's why she's always wanting to grow, and so I think that's why she left.
Yeah, she's driven.
And yeah. She's a journalist. She was with Channel 4 or something. So anyway, we're still friends.
Cool.
But and then I started doing podcasts. In fact, I was doing a podcast with her, the Chic Fila, unofficial.
Okay, so that's who that was.
And then
I didn't know who you were doing that with.
Yeah, that was with Allison. Allison Storm is what her name was.
Was that pre-cancer?
Post.
That was post.
Yeah. Oh,
I know, right? What are you doing?
I know,
right? You're the storyteller.
Well, it just kind of goes all over the place, which is how I speak. I speak.
That's cool.
Rabbit trails,
right?
Because that's what you do when you're floating in the ocean in an inner tube. You can talk about anything.
Yeah.
So they said I couldn't do a podcast and be on the air.
Okay.
I said, well, I don't think that's a thing, but I think it's just because I was doing it with Allison, so it looks like we broke off and are doing our own thing, and I understand that.
You could poach. We don't want you poaching.
So, yeah. So I left there.
Did you have a non-compete?
No.
No non-compete? I would imagine that's important to have in radio or in just broadcasting in general.
Not that I know of.
Well, wasn't enforced.
I might have.
Yeah.
But you know me, I'm just going, do. Want me to sign this? Okay. I could have signed anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did that, but the very week I left his radio is when the whole world shut down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve of COVID. And so like my last day there, no one was at the station, which was kind of, anticlimactic.
And so did you have cancer while you were at the station?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you left. Man, I thought you'd been gone longer than that. So you left
5 years.
at the beginning of COVID.
5 years next month. Yeah. So I left, did that podcast for several years, and then the Chick-fil-A brand attorneys, they just wanted to pound their chest and say, you can't do this, can't do that, which they really, we weren't using any of their logo or anything, and we were doing nothing but telling great stories about Chick-fil-A because everyone's got a Chick-fil-A story, right?
My pleasure.
Oh, yeah. So, and it was a lot of fun, but then it became not fun when the attorneys just kept showing up and saying, you can't do that, which we could, but she didn't want to fight. And I said, okay. And then I got into doing.
Is she comedic?
She plays off me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She thinks I'm the funniest person
that's all it
world.
takes. I got one guy in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he said, I just couldn't stop laughing.
We did have a lot of fun in the morning.
I bet y'all had so much fun, man.
Yeah.
Are you a caffeine drinker? You drink coffee in the morning?
Oh,
so y'all would crush it and then just get rolling at 6 a.m.
Uh-huh. Yes. It was great.
Laughing. Already laughing.
Yeah. Leaving more
coming across the airwaves.
I thought, am I getting paid for this? But they did. They treated me pretty well, actually, for Christian radio. I wouldn't get rich off it, but I was able to pay bills. It's kind of nice. And then I started another podcast with the Healing Strong organization because of the cancer, but I haven't really told that story yet. So, but how did cancer? Yeah, like how did that show up? Well,
what did you do with it?
Well, I was going to a thing called Momentum, which is the radio conference, which is my favorite time of year. It's at Disney, and all the radio people, the whole industry comes
So much
there.
fun.
And the artists are there, and we're just hanging out.
So much.
And Disney.
Christian radio or just radio?
Christian
Okay,
radio.
Christian radio.
Yeah. It's
They still got it. Going strong.
Stuff. And they have huge concerts every night. I remember I was sitting
at
one table, and all of a sudden I looked down for something. All of a sudden I felt his hand on my shoulder, and Toby Mac is using my shoulder to jump up on my table, and he's singing away. I'm like, he's stepping on my phone. The guy stepped on my phone. He didn't break it though. But I mean, it's just, you're just surrounded, and you eat with the different artists and the different radio people, and it's just a lot of fun.
What's it like being with like a really famous artist that can sing amazing? Singing is super powerful.
And again,
and artistry is just.
I think of that often when like somebody like Natalie Grant.
Okay.
There's a singer and a half.
So describe her. Describe that power.
Because, I'm sitting in the studio, and she's just doing a concert over the air, singing a song. And I'm like, man, again, I should pinch myself, because how many people love to be in this situation where you're just sitting with a singer of that caliber? I mean, she can just wail.
And she's just a wall away through glass, like singing?
No, she's just right like you and I right here.
Oh, my goodness. She's just singing across from the table from you.
Yeah. And
singing.
Singing and just acting like a normal person, which is what they are, of course.
Yeah.
And I remember Need to Breathe coming in, and they were like my favorite group for a long time.
Man.
And they sang Washed by the Water, which was their big first hit. And I was working the board then, and I'm like running sound for him, and he sings so hard his hat fell off. And
oh, wow, fun.
They even heard him in the AM station across the hall and between two soundproof studios.
Wow.
He sings so loud. I'm like, turn the mic way down. But I'm like, how many people would like to be in a room with it was just me and Kristen at the time, a different girl, and, Need to Breathe.
Have you ever seen Tiny Desk?
No.
Oh my gosh, Jim.
What? What's wrong with me?
NPR Tiny Desk. Just check it out.
Tiny Desk.
They have they'll invite these artists to set up in a square this big and play on NPR. Oh. Just a spot. And it's really raw and just wonderful. And I would love to do something like that one day at the Common Man, to host and let people, instead of having conversations with them, or along with having conversations with them, let them set up and crush a set.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Man, if you ever know any young up and comers
that
would love to test those waters, man.
I used to do a thing where I would rewrite some song like Need to Breathe, where Daddy was a preacher. I changed it to Daddy was a plumber, because my dad was a plumber. He worked on pipes, and I changed the whole thing. And it's just a little thing they call it if Jim wrote the song. And I did a Danny Goki song once, and he was coming in that morning.
And so you're just goofing off on radio doing that.
Yeah. But he was there that morning. And of course, he sings so high, and I don't have a high voice. And I said, hey, do you mind singing back up for me? if you can hit the higher notes. So here I am singing a makeshift Danny Goki song with him as my backup.
Man.
But how many people get to sing on the radio with Danny Goki back in the month?
Man, that's cool.
But it doesn't seem like that while you're doing it. I mean, it just seems like you're with a bunch of friends, which is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of great times. I remember John, what's his name from not Skillet. They were there too. He came with Billy Graham's grandson.
Wow.
Who was in a movie, and they were there. John Foreman?
I don't know, bro. I'm not a name. I don't know names.
But you would know these guys.
Probably not.
Because they also do secular music, but they're very well known.
Maybe.
And I'm so bad with names.
I don't know.
The Beatles? No. You heard of them?
I've heard of them.
No, I can't remember. Anyway, and again, they always make fun of me. I'm like the
you are the disarmer.
Yeah.
They'll grab you and have conversation with you because they know they're not going to be put off. They're going to be put on. They're not going to be.
But I have that was one thing on my bucket list, and that's to ride my Harley Davidson, which I don't have, across the country. Just take a couple months and go, up the coast and across the country.
What does that have anything to do with this?
Well, okay, hang on.
Okay.
So when these guys came in, and then Will Graham, Billy Graham's grandson, he came down on his motorcycle, and so when the mics went on, they go, it's funny because Jim is the only thing on his bucket list is to go across the country on the back of your motorcycle. They switched a little, and Will's like, really? I said, no, it's not true. But they just went with it. And next thing you know, I'm out in the parking lot on the back of Will Graham's motorcycle, my arms around him,
shooting a spot.
He goes, my wife is not ever.
Is this your belly button, Will?
And Rob's in my ear, goes, whisper in his ear. Like,
no, that's so wrong.
So, I mean, they just make fun of me in a fun way, of course. But they have me do all this kind of stupid stuff. And then
that would be just silly.
And then we had an artist.
If y'all were on video,
we were.
Man, I think it would crush.
Yeah. That was on video. Me on the back.
No, I mean in general. Did they have a video feed that you could see a video of y'all?
Yeah. It was live every morning on video.
Oh, it was live every morning on video. So all I know is radio.
Yeah.
But it was also on video live as well.
Yeah. Crazy. But then again, I'm thinking, well, it's not like people can't see me in person. But, I'm the only one that bothers seeing myself on video. And it bothers everybody to see themselves on video. So I had to get over that. You know what I mean? And that's really something that is probably my main message in life. And it's what the cancer brought out is that, growing up, I never thought I could be more than average in anything. It wasn't like I thought I was stupid or anything. It's just, I was just hardwired that way. I don't know why. Of course, my mom always said I can do whatever I want.
Of course.
But then when I watched them, they were both,
Yeah, you have a dialogue that tells you who you're going to be.
Yeah.
You have like a formalized dialogue that is an ongoing conversation.
And it was cemented into, I think I've told you about my 5th grade teacher that one time who said, she was trying to give away the stuff from the bulletin boards. You go, who wants this, old stuff from the bulletin board, which is just trash. And everyone's hand went up, and she looked down at me. She goes, why should I give it to you? I'm like, well, you're right. I don't deserve it, which is what you want to cement in your mind from a teacher. I don't know what the situation was, but
it's stuck around.
That's all I remember.
It's stuck around
from elementary, yeah. Except for Darlene Capozzi, but that's all it was.
That sounds like a fun storybook name.
Yeah.
And so what you had learned, you said I learned from cancer, the thing.
Well, okay. So again,
I want you to tell the story. Can we tell the cancer story? Okay. So the cancer story, you were at his radio.
I was, yeah.
In the height of your career, in the height of his radio season.
Yes. I was at Momentum.
Yeah. Full Momentum.
No, I was at Momentum, which is the radio conference.
Oh, okay. You were at Momentum, the radio conference.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I had Momentum, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's my favorite time of year, business-wise. And like I say, because everybody from the industry's there and the artists and great concerts every night.
How long was that conference?
It went Wednesday through Saturday.
Good time.
Yeah.
Man.
So I was there on Wednesday, and I had gone to the dermatologist the Friday before I left because I had this thing on my head. I always get these things on my head.
Me too, bro. I got a couple.
I just want to talk to you about this. Mine. This one was like, and the dermatologist said, "Well, it's fine. It's nothing. It's whatever the big word was." Right. But then I used to like hit it getting in the car sometimes, and of course with a hat on, because I always had a hat on, and it was right where that
little crown is.
Yeah, and it was like, and all of a sudden it started bleeding. Ooh. Because I felt liquid coming down my neck. No. But that's not good.
After hitting it or just?
Yeah, after hitting it. And then so it started getting darker and bigger and I think it started saying things. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I thought, I better have that checked out again because it's been a while. And so I just had it checked out, went down the Momentum.
Okay.
And Wednesday I was just about to go down for registration. Mm-hmm. We ate at a breakfast with the character breakfast where Mickey and all those people were there. with some of the staff people that were with me. Mm-hmm. And so we went back up to the rooms, you know, brushed our teeth or whatever we needed to do, comb all my hair, maybe braid it.
Pick your hat that matches your outfit.
Exactly. Is that a problem?
No, I do that.
Yeah, okay. So then I got a phone call, and it showed that it was my dermatologist. I thought, wow, normally it's like, it's no big deal, blah, blah, blah. But this time the voice was scared on the other side.
You could hear it immediately?
Yeah. Because, I'm sorry, Mr. Mann. I don't think they go, Mr. Mann. They know me well there because they listen to the radio station.
Of course.
And so they go, yeah, I hate to ruin your Disney vacation, but yeah, it's a very aggressive form of melanoma, and you need to see a surgeon as soon as you get back. She goes, you don't have to come back today, but Monday morning we'll line up a surgeon. I thought, okay, that's kind of like unnerving. So, and I get out the door, I meet Allison at the elevator, and she just said, so anything happened since the last time I saw you, which was like an hour before? I said, yeah, I got cancer. How about you? It was like a perfect conversation. She goes, what? Because she's used to me being, not serious. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah, I just got a call from a dermatologist. I have to see a surgeon Monday morning. She's freaked out. I'm freaked out. And so I had to tell the other staff that were there because I wanted to ruin their time too. And of course, you know how it is when something like that hits, everything else is kind of goes off into the background.
Yeah,
You're just sitting there like.
You're just cycling on that one thought.
Yeah. Okay, should I just go home now or whatever? Right. So, but the thing is, and here's where it started, and this reminds you of those times in Chosen, you've seen Chosen where Jesus zeroes in on somebody and you're like, like with Mary Magdalene, when you just saw her and well, all those things just tear me up. I prayed. I said, God, Mark Hall of Casting Crowns, the lead singer of Casting Crowns, you know that group?
Yes.
Okay. He just went through a cancer thing. He had some kind of sissy cancer. I forget what it was, but he's fine. And it was stage, I don't know what stage it was. So I said, well, he's here somewhere amongst these thousands of people, but it'd be cool to kind of run across him and just kind of unload on him. But I even joke around with God. I said, you're busy. If it doesn't work out, it's fine.
Right.
And that very night, I come out of the Contemporary, and there's nobody outside, which is a miracle at Disney right there. Nobody around, except for one guy sitting on the bench looking at me. It's Mark Hall.
Do you see that as the Lord?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like, and this is before The Chosen, so they were copying, what I'm doing. It was just like God said.
You mean Jesus does things like that?
Yeah. He says, hey, I got this, totally there for you. And so I talked with him and, he gave me his number and we, chatted and he was a youth pastor. So he does that. I got your back, man. He had a lot of youth talk. Mm-hmm. But, he prayed with me and that was a great thing to experience, especially, it was obvious God put that together.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's all that is.
I went back.
It's putting two sons together that need each other.
So I went back Monday morning. We went to the doctors. And of course, when you get into cancer, you hate going into doors that have cancer written on them now. But I just entered that world, because cancer's for other people. Right. And here I was. And my parents never were sick. They didn't have cancer. Just a polio at the beginning of her life, but she was healed for that. And so I go in there.
Is it hard to talk about this story?
No.
Okay.
No. Remember, I'm just on an inner tube floating around.
Okay. No praise big the deal. Lord. I'm here with you.
Okay.
Floating together.
You're a little deeper, though. You're down there in the water.
Maybe not.
So I go there, and it's very crowded. It's a big lobby, but there's this woman across the way looking at me.
Okay.
And I thought, why is she looking at me? Is something wrong with her? Is there something on my face? I'm there with Tracy. I said, is that woman looking at me? She goes, yeah, I think so. So I was getting a little nervous. And then she was there with her mom, apparently, because they called her name, and her mom went in. She goes, I'll be right with you. And she comes right at me. I'm like, She goes, "Are you Jim Mann?" I said, "Oh, because of the radio thing." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I called the station 11 years ago because I had melanoma." And she goes, "And you prayed for me." And I actually remember that call.
No way.
And I've had a lot of calls in 11 years.
Wow.
And I remember praying for her, and I remember thinking, if God doesn't heal her, I mean, melanoma is vicious.
Oh, man, I can just receive that.
Yeah. And so she goes, "And I didn't know what you looked like, so I looked you up on the website, and I asked God for a window to speak to you." And I'm in Anderson, and this is in Greenville, at the many cancer places in Greenville.
Oh, man.
And there we are at the exact time together. And so she gave me all this information.
That was 11 years ago.
That I prayed for her. And then it's been 9 years since that happened. Wow. So it's one of those things where, I can just picture God going, "Still there, buddy." I think God does that. and then it goes on where of course, the nurses always listen to Christian radio. It seems like, and they all knew who I was, and "We're praying for you." But then on the morning of
how did you deal with, man? Quit running ahead, bro. Like, how did you get what did you do? How'd your wife handle it? What'd your kids say?
my kids, they all just got quiet.
Y'all got quiet. They cry?
Not in front of me.
Okay.
I found out they did later.
Because they're scared.
Yeah. But they were like trying to be supportive for me.
Yeah, they didn't want to. Yeah.
Yeah. And my wife and I, we went out to breakfast after that thing where the woman came up to me. We went out to breakfast later, and then it was starting to hit me that, because the surgeon acted like, "Whoa, this is a whole lot bigger than I thought it was going to be." He was mad at the dermatologist because
for not catching it.
Well, the measurement they gave him, he goes, "There's no way it's that big and he's still alive." Because they have the charts that say PT1 through PT4, and it's based on the size. PT1s are like the little freckle that you find. And then by the time it gets PT4, you're gone. And mine was 2.5 times bigger than that. So I'm like,
growing it, man.
Check me out.
Look at this thing.
I'll share this with anybody.
I might be the Incredible Hulk. I didn't want to out myself just yet.
I do have a big head. So that helps. So, but
so you're sitting across from her at breakfast.
Yeah, at breakfast at Eggs Up, and it was just I was trying not to cry because I'm thinking am I going to? It's just in September. I said, am I going to be here for Christmas?
Right, you're thinking all that.
Yeah.
Did y'all verbalize that?
Yeah. I said, should I be making videos for the kids?
Right. You're strategizing.
None of them are married yet.
And where in the month was it? What month was it in?
September.
And you're wondering if you're going to be around for Christmas.
Yeah. So, and then we drove separately because she had to go on for something. I forgot. And so I went in my Jeep, which thank God it has the dark windows, and I just bawled like a baby.
Wee.
And
did you get mad?
No, I never get mad. I never get mad at God for, I can't, I know most people do stuff like that, but it's just never been in me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't really be mad at God. He kind of made me, I don't know. Again, it's the way I'm wired.
Yeah. Could be y'all's closeness.
And I don't want to be mad at somebody who I want to heal me.
I know, right?
Yeah. So I cried.
Anger's just hurt, though.
Yeah.
It's just hurt.
And my phone kept ringing. It was my brother-in-law, my sister.
You're just trying to have a cry and quit bothering me.
And so I kept, but he just kept calling. And he's a senior pastor out in Texas. I thought, he's not going to leave me alone. So I pulled it together. Hello? He goes, yeah, I just found out. And he goes, can I pray with you? I said,
oh, man. Just don't make it very long.
I'm not done. So he prayed for me. And,
I'd have been like putting you on speaker. I'm driving.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm finished crying now anyway. So it was sitting in the parking lot of Publix is where I was. I went somewhere where there's no cars and just let it out. And that's like the last time I cried about it. It just purged all that out. And then I felt like,
It was pre-surgery.
Yeah. I felt like, well, God, he's showing me he knows about it. He's lining all these things up. So something's going to happen here. I didn't think he's just going to, I just want to show you those two things and then you're going to die, we'll go to heaven. I mean, how bad is that?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So that Friday, the surgeon canceled his vacation, which made me more nervous to operate on me that Friday.
Dadgum.
And they told me later that I shouldn't have lived more than a month or two, which I'm glad they didn't tell me that then. No wonder he was in a hurry. So I go in where you register, and I'm like,
in the hospital.
In the
Get
hospital.
y'all checked in.
And the guy goes,
Fanny hanging out of the gown and everything.
I came in that way. And so the guy goes, okay, name? I said,
You were pre-gaming. Pre-gaming in the hospital gown.
Yeah, I don't need a gown. I got my own. So he goes, are you who I think you are? I said, no. I said, well, yeah. He goes, man, he called out all these women from the back room, all these, whatever.
Man,
he goes,
just loving on you, bro.
He said, we're taking our lunch because the operation was at noon. He goes, we're all taking our lunch to pray for you.
Whoa,
and they all came out
neat.
One at a time and hugged me. I'm like, I said, do you do this to all your
I wish we could
people?
give this to everyone
Yeah.
that is hurting like this,
Yeah, it was just, it's amazing. And so, so I go in and then they had
Do you remember feeling, what did it do anything? Did you feel anything?
I was extremely humbled and
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed by, why? I'm just average. Why are you, why you're like this? Why you're doing this to me or for me? Not doing it to me, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just not used. I expected when I had cancer, I expected for us to get some text and emails at the station saying, oh, it's a shame. We'll be praying for him. That's what I expect.
Yeah.
And instead it took two or three staff members, 2 solid days to answer all the emails and the texts and the phone calls, just saying, thank you. It just thousands of people poured in. Anderson Christian School, their whole chapel service was praying for me.
Whoa.
But I had a daughter there. That's why that happened. But she was like,
cool.
She was embarrassed for the attention. But they prayed for me the whole stinking chapel.
Wow, that's so cool.
And then I'm known for having blue plaid. I don't know if you remember that, but
No, I don't remember.
Allison always
bro.
made fun of me because every shirt I had was blue plaid.
You should have worn it today.
I know.
I have no connection to that narrative.
So she always made fun that my favorite color was blue plaid.
I have more experience with you at group
Yeah.
than I do when you were even in radio.
Yeah.
I mean, like maybe teeny exposure. So
Well, so they had a blue plaid day for the audience. So people were sending in pictures of them wearing blue plaid to work or school. And it was so many people. And then, those ribbons that they have for like the pink one for breast cancer and all that stuff. A listener made thousands of blue plaid ribbon. And it says, fight like a man, MANN. And I see these on cars. I'm like, good Lord, what are you trying to tell me?
that's pretty cool, man.
And it's basically God saying, you are, you're not just average. I mean, you're my child. You're just as important as anybody else. You're not more important than anybody. And no one's less important than you, but, you matter. I just feel like, I'm just going through life like I did high school. No one knew I'm there. And then boom, I'm gone. Except maybe my kids and my wife.
Oh, man.
But I'm like, God put me in radio. Like, again, I never had, I'm going to do radio when I grow up. I kind of fell into it. And it did good on me. I had fun. And, God used that to bless others. And I thought, how can he use me to bless others? But he uses us all to bless others.
He uses
Right?
us all.
I know. Anyway.
He even use people as they're, making rough decisions. He uses that. I mean, Joseph's story,
Mhm.
Moses' story,
Yeah.
Abraham's story, Abraham's wife's story. I mean, you could name everybody.
Well, since, this is podcast is called The Common Man, to let you know I'm a little uncommon because
I was going to open with that joke, but
well, I had to go get the mapping wherever they're going to do surgery, they map it.
yeah,
So you know where your lymph nodes are.
3D and all.
So, well, they put this dye.
How do they
shoot
do
this
that?
dye in there with needles. And so I go back there thinking, okay,
Thank you, Lord, for modern medicine.
they're going to, shoot this dye in there. They 4 points, around it. And then, so I'm there and he's behind me. He goes, well, just let you know that I've been cussed at. I've been punched. I've been screamed at. I'm like, why? He goes, this is very painful. I'm like, what? I'm like, no one told me about this. He goes, so, I won't take anything personal. I'm like, great. I said, he goes, so are you ready? I said, maybe not.
That's the thing you don't tell anybody
I know.
right before. And you can only tell them right before.
I said, so he goes, here comes the first one. And so I feel a needle going in and I'm waiting for the excruciating pain. He goes, are you okay? I said, yeah. Are you doing it? No. He goes, wow. Okay. Well, here's the second one. Same thing. He just felt like a needle going in. And he goes, I've never had this happen before.
You are superhuman, dude.
I know. This is the Uncommon Man podcast.
Oh, man.
He actually walked me out.
And you're like, you want to go get a cheeseburger?
Yeah. I had a cigarette hanging out.
Clint Eastwood, I'm going to call him in a little bit and tell him
Yeah.
about this one.
Make my day. And he told my family, and Rob Dempsey was out there, and a video guy was there, not taking videos, but he was there. And he go, just want you to know, this guy has a very high pain tolerance. That was my favorite
You're
part.
like Neo in the Matrix.
That's right.
Where the environment flexes.
I said, look at the flap. So yeah, I said, well, still put me to sleep for the operation. That's what you're getting at. So I go in there and, they put me in a room and they hook me up and I'm getting a little groggy. And then Tracy's with me, my wife. And she goes, yeah, I'm getting all these videos. She goes, all these different artists, they're sending videos.
Wow.
Like Natalie Grant and Blanca and like 7 or 8 of them. And the last one I saw was Joel for King and Country. And he goes, and I just saw them all, at Momentum the week before. So, they're all praying for me in the video. And he goes, I understand you're, getting operated on in about 30 minutes, which was exactly 30 minutes. He goes, let you know that we're praying for you, blah, 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 in an Australian accent. That's the last words I heard as I went out.
Oh, wow.
Said, oh, my gosh, all these top artists are stopping and sending me videos.
Wow.
Because they're all wonderful people anyway, but, they didn't have to do that.
No.
And so.
Just wanted to encourage you.
I know. I kept thinking, man, I might be somebody. I started getting prideful. No, I was kidding.
Good thing you fell asleep before that thought. Yeah. Gave a chance to root.
So, yeah. And so I get the operation. It's supposed to be 2.5 hours, and it ended up being 5.5 hours. Because, I've
been in a few of those in my previous life.
I mean, they flipped me over. I don't remember it, but I was face down.
Yeah.
And then they flipped me over. They took the skin graft from my waistline, which is still kind of sore 9 years later. And, they put that up here.
Post.
They sewed that down. And then they put a half of a softball thing. They sewed that to my head.
Whoa.
So I was very pretty. And I said, how many stitches is that? They go, we don't know. It's too many. It's just stitched all the way around.
They have to cut your skull out?
Yeah, apparently. I mean, they went all the way down.
Was the cancer in your brain?
No, it didn't reach that. No.
So it was just on the skull.
Yeah, I guess.
You okay? You good?
Yeah, I'm trying. I slide down because I'm just so heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like the last person they were getting worried because everyone.
Yeah, it was 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And the CEO of the hospital came down to the lobby to tell my wife and family that he was praying for me.
Wow.
The CEO, did he do that for all the patients?
All these Christians are out there.
I know. It's crazy.
You want to hear something really silly?
Yeah.
I want to,
like
with this podcast, I want to create a day holiday that every Christian in the world acts like Christ.
That never happened.
It would be so crazy, though.
That would be great.
Can you imagine everybody just said, whatever, May, 9th or something, and just said, for this day, every Christian is going to just put on, the qualities of Christ. One day.
That'd be weird.
It would be so interesting.
Yeah.
Like, hey, take a 364. and come to Easter and Christmas.
Yeah.
But everyone on one day, says, I'm gonna put them on. I'm gonna put them on. I'm gonna do my best.
Yeah.
And,
Put other people first.
it'd be
That'd be
so
weird.
interesting. Speak positively, offer love, courage, kindness. It'd be so interesting.
Yeah. And wear blue plaid.
And wear blue plaid. Maybe that's a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Most likely.
That might create a higher bar, though. I'm like hoping I'm just low barring it. Only do what you know of Jesus to do.
Baby steps. Yeah.
So CEO, of course.
Yeah. And I went home. I should have spent the night because they didn't really get enough pain medicine in me, but they sent me home. And it was painful.
Whoa, man.
But they go, yeah, we should have gotten, because they didn't know the operation was going to be that long and whatever. But anyway, so, I went home and I had to sleep in a recliner with pillows everywhere because, I was cutting the front, cutting the back, cutting on top.
Oh.
So
In the back, too?
Yeah, well, the
back of your head.
The lymph nodes are all back here.
They had to go down in there?
Yeah.
They had to go down in the back of your neck?
Yeah, and one of them, or two of them were under my skull, so they had to go in.
What?
I think that's what took so long.
So the cancer was in your lymphs.
Well,
it came in from the top of your head and it was also in your lymphs
they
back
take them out to test to see if it has come.
Oh.
So that's the deal. So we went back. I think it was. Oh, he finally took his vacation, the surgeon. So I had to wait 2 weeks for the results rather than 1 week. And so I went in there. And,
That's cool. Thank you.
yeah,
Right.
so I went in there. I got my bandage on my softball. I was 6 foot. I was like 6'4". I look pretty pathetic. My kids, they told me I looked like Frankenstein coming out because my neck was all swollen, and they shaved half my head. Why didn't they just shave the whole thing? So I'm shaved from here back, and then I have my bangs. Like they go, well, he's not attractive anyway, so it doesn't matter. He's just average.
We're going to time crunch here.
So yeah, so I went. I went in
The
there.
hospital bill would have been a lot different if they had shaved the whole thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's another $30,000. So, I went in there and for this time it took forever. It took me 45 minutes to be called back. Normally they call me back right away.
Oh.
And so I'm waiting. I thought, oh, it must be bad news. I mean, they're like,
they're icing you, bro.
yeah. And I'm back there and he's just talking away. I said, so did it spread? He goes, oh, they didn't tell you? I said, no, you told them not to because you wanted to tell me. He goes, no, we don't know why, but it didn't spread. Your borders were clean. The lymph nodes were clean. Like, what? So, of course, the listening audience went crazy. Like, oh, my gosh, they gave him 2 months to live and there's no cancer. So they all went nuts.
Do you see that as a miracle?
I do. And I don't know. Well, here's the weird part. I don't know why. Because 18 months later, it came back in like 8 tumors throughout my body. So I was like, well, did God just need some time to work on something? I don't
remember that.
Yeah, 18 months I was fine.
So your lymphs were clear.
Yeah, and the
And your
border was clear.
was good.
And
then
they were shocked.
And then so how did you?
Well, every 3 months I had to go back.
Every 3 months.
Because they watch you.
And then at 18 they said,
and then all of a sudden I went in and I felt this, there was like a bump, like a hard jelly type of thing.
Uh-huh.
And there was one right above this incision.
Oh, wow.
I thought, I hope that's not it. But the weird part is every time I went in, his radio was playing in the lobby. And I'd hear myself on promos and stuff.
That's
which is
weird.
kind of weird.
Like, turn that down.
And so I go in this time.
That'd be weird.
And I had just seen Natalie Grant at her church in Nashville and thanked her for the video. And she had been through her cancer. She had thyroid cancer. Anyway, and she looked pretty in her shots. I said, she showed me
like Frankenstein.
She had like a little slit here. I said, you're looking at that glamour shot after your surgery and as opposed to mine before surgery. She chuckled. But anyway, so, blah, blah, blah. I told her I was cancer free. And I went back that week and found out. I went to the lobby. No radio station was playing. It was silent. I thought, oh no, is this a sign? Go in there. They did a biopsy on me. It was melanoma.
On that spot.
Yeah, they took this one.
Okay.
I don't know why. This was on the surface. Why couldn't they do that? But instead, they went in the middle of my stomach, took the needle all the way across to get it.
Whoa.
I don't know why. I don't know if they're just practicing their skills or what. Because they put the big needle on my stomach. Goes, don't look at that.
Probably don't want to like spread it for like give it topical access or something.
I think you just smash it with a hammer.
I know, man.
So then I had to do immunotherapy.
Okay, you did immunotherapy.
For 2 years, every 2 weeks, for a little bag like this, $74,000 a bag.
Wow.
I
Thank
paid
you,
cash.
Lord. Of course.
Actually, the real miracle is insurance covered 100%.
Wow.
There is a miracle, my friend.
Wow.
So for the first time, more money was coming my way than going to the insurance company.
Wow.
So, but it was fun in there.
And so the immunotherapy got
In 2 months, all the tumors had shrunk, but they kept me on it for 2 years.
whoa,
Yeah, it's pretty potent stuff.
dude.
I know.
How did you deal with that?
I just went.
Were you working at all then? Did you stop everything?
No, I was working. I was out of the station for 6 weeks after the operation. Just took a while to
After the
heal.
operation.
Yeah,
But that was still the middle of his radio career.
yeah. That was in 2016. And I left in 2020. So yeah,
That was in 16.
yeah. And people will come by the station. I go to like concerts and stuff, and they come to the table, and it's always moms with their little kid at elementary age saying, we were in line at the school when we heard about, your cancer, and we just cried. I'm like, why'd you cry? You don't even know me. I don't say that out loud because I finally realized they do think they know me.
They do.
I'm part of their life.
They do.
But and they were normal people crying over me.
It's a really neat connection that people can make with somebody. I've been reading a Brene Brown book.
Yeah.
You ever listen to any of her stuff?
I think, is she ever on Right Now Media?
She has the #1 TED Talk
Okay.
ever, I think, still. And she's a clinician that studies shame.
Yeah.
And it's a female, Brene, Brene, Brene. But what was I talking about? I know, right?
Yeah. You're as old as I am.
I know. I'm okay with it. I don't care. No, it was I don't know. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah.
And so the way people make connections, it's no big deal. It's such a beautiful thing, though, that people are able to connect to each other by hearing empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm sorry, by experiencing empathy. They did studies on like, why do people like sad movies? And I'm like, why would you ask that question? And why would you study that? But then you go like, why do people like sad movies?
Yeah.
But the reason they like sad movies is because it makes them feel connected to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
People end up feeling grounded by watching someone else experience sadness.
It's almost like an anchor for everybody.
It's like a relational anchor.
Yeah.
They feel like I've experienced that sadness too. Like we have something in common. It's like a relationship bond.
Mm.
Anyway, and I think people like got that all. You emote that.
Yeah.
People were getting that like everywhere.
Well, one thing I've noticed.
Change the topic.
No. No, I'm thinking because I experienced that for so long, and I still know I'm just a regular guy. It's not like because I'm some amazing person.
Yeah.
It's just where
Just in your
God
lane.
put me.
Yeah.
Anybody who have been on radio, people think, oh, they're a part of my life if they listen to you. Well, because they're just familiar with the voice. But, and of course, I was incredibly funny. That's a whole different story. Yeah. Anyway, it is funny. Here's a rabbit trail. The guy who did our promos, I'd have to upload all of our talk sets in the morning. I send it to this guy in Ohio, and he does promos for the morning show. And he'd send back every month. He sent back 12 of them, and 10 of them were always of me. I said, why are you always making them me? He goes, because you're the funny one.
Yeah.
You're the only one that's funny on there. I said, that's true. You got a good point there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do notice, because since I've been out of radio, I went to like Winter Jam last year, not this past weekend when they had it, but I went there. And now I was just a normal person, in their eyes.
Right.
Because I stood in line, and because I've never really been at Winter Jam on the inside other than, when we MC or whatever. But normally I'm out in the hallway where it's really crowded and claustrophobic. And so
what is Winter Jam?
It's at the Bon Secours, and it's just all these different artists. It's something that a group New Song puts together, and they have all these different bands that just tour. They go city to city. It's the biggest tour ever in any genre. Crazy.
And so Winter Jam happens in Greenville, South Carolina, or that's one of its sites?
That's one of them, yeah. It was in Charlotte the week before that.
And it's just Christian, new Christian artists.
Yeah, and old like Skillet, I think.
And
Skillet's there a lot.
Come and play.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But so I've been in line.
So you were there.
Yeah, I'm in the what they call the music mission partner line, where you get in a little earlier. So I'm standing in there, and then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, people are seeing me. There's some old guy coming to like rock concert, and his grandkids aren't with him. Why is he here? That's what I'm thinking. But I'm like the person in front of me, I'm always just saying stupid comments, and they like, okay. Stop talking. There's an old guy talking to me. And so I turn around to the guy behind me.
I know that firsthand, what that's like to be near you as you do that.
What's that smell of mothballs? So to the guy behind me, I said, now, when we go in early and walk past the common people, look down at them, okay? And he just went, I thought, oh, great. And then Brian Sumner.
That's my best joke, man. I'm a stranger.
Brian Sumner comes along, and he does the afternoons. And he does this big thing, Jim, man, oh my gosh. Some big thing. And everybody turned around the line and go, you're Jim Mann.
They still remember the name, man.
They're like, you're my favorite, all this kind of stuff. Like, where were you when I'm just some old geezer talking to you? And I realized,
they need to put the video feed out.
I know.
Like more.
Yeah, but my point is.
Sorry. I'm chasing rabbits too, man. Can I float in the ocean too? And like,
sure. Sorry. My point is, I do that to other people.
Yeah.
Like the guy next to me or the woman there, I just discount them as,
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I realized, and I was thinking about that in church this past Sunday.
Whoa.
Because I'm like, everybody has a story, obviously. It's just nothing that people don't already know. But we don't think about it consciously. We're not like saying, okay, this person in front of me looks like a dud, but, they're going through something and they've got personality, outside of here, and they're not talking to you because they're just self-conscious or, they're thinking about where they're at, what they're going through, what the problems they are. I'm thinking, I'm just as bad. People don't need to talk to me because I'm on radio. I want them to talk to me because, I'm a human being that, they don't have to go crazy over me. I wear a blue plaid.
Right.
But they could have laughed at my jokes in line or just say, yeah, well, how you doing? That kind of thing. Whereas when they think I was a celebrity, they're like going crazy over me.
It warms up real fast.
Yeah. And it's like, it's so superficial is my point.
Yeah.
And I need to be more conscious of how I treat people around me. Like I just walk by you like you're nothing, right?
That's I can see how there would be a lot of value to honoring that prompting from God.
I even thought of starting a small group at my church for the introverted. We'll have karaoke night.
Can I please come?
No one would come for karaoke night.
What? Are you kidding me, man? Everybody would come, bro.
But I thought, yeah, we'll just sit here quietly.
We're introverts. How in the hell are you an introvert? But anyway, we ain't even gonna try to crack that.
Well, let me tell you. When I was in college,
you're full of it.
When I went to that huge church.
Yeah,
I went for 2 years before anyone even spoke to me. But I didn't say, "Wow, no one's speaking to me." I realized I'm not speaking to anybody else.
You did realize it.
Yeah, I wasn't blaming anybody, but it's just how
some
people are.
Never realize that.
Yeah,
and they wonder why nobody's speaking.
You don't look around and say, "Yeah." You don't look around and say,
nobody speaks to me. Well, do you speak to anybody else?
I tell my kids that. I said, my introverted kids, I said, look for the people who are just by themselves. They're feeling awkward right now. don't worry about the popular people, and being in with them. Go over to that person who's just sitting there like, when's this going to be over?
That's a beautiful invitation from God right there.
Yeah. So
praise the Lord, man.
I know. Look at me. I'm so mature.
You're starting small groups.
But yeah, okay. So I went to, and then until Karen Steverson, who was like the social mecca of this church, the crowd opened up and she was like right there. She goes, "Hey, I'm Karen. Are you new?" I said, 2 years. If you call that new. She's like, "What?" And so we got to talk. And then she found out, I'm never serious. So she invited me to meet the head of the college and career guy, Tommy, and he's hysterical. Then they found out I play bass. Next thing you know, I'm the bass player for 17 years there.
Dang, bro.
I know.
You still play?
Not actively, no. I'm letting the young people play. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, anyway.
So immunotherapy?
Yes, immunotherapy for 2 years.
For 2 years.
Every 2 weeks for 2 years. God. But I got a good
People
relationship
complain
with
about things, like I've got indigestion today. And
yeah.
Friend over here has been in immunotherapy for 16 months.
It's kind of depressing.
I imagine it's emotional.
There's people in there.
Did you have a spiritual? How do you hear from God when you're actually medicated the full out? And
yeah, well, that didn't affect me that way. The side effects, of course, can be all over the map, including death.
Of course.
So that's what you want. Medication to kill you. That's helping you. But I had they say it can attack your tendons and your joints and your legs.
Oh,
the worst case scenario when it goes your like a brain. That's the worst one, or other kidneys or whatever.
Which is an organ.
Yeah, it hasn't done any of that. But sometimes my legs feel like I'm a 90-year-old. Like it hurts so much. And as people think, well, you are 67 now. What's you?
Now or then?
Now.
Now it feels like that can be.
Oh yeah. But sometimes I feel fine, but then next moment I'm like, oh, it's just like hurting, like I just done squats or something, and I haven't.
Right.
So yeah, and there there's like little bird legs that like, is this going to work through it or what? Bro. So
praise the Lord.
So yeah. But that's
so you got through that season in it, and then you had a clean bill of health.
Yeah, recently I had a scan a couple months ago, and they go, "You're good." Closing the books on you.
And how long ago was that?
That was in January.
And we're only in February.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So there you go.
You always go in there just kind of wondering.
Yeah, I mean, after you've had cancer, you always think, "Oh, what's that pain? Is it coming back?"
Oh gosh.
So yeah, it's always there. But then you just kind of, and I did change like the way I ate. I cut sugar out. I took sugar out completely at first. Yeah. Now I added it in here and there. I had 2 M&Ms just a little while ago.
Oh, my bad. It's my fault.
Yeah. Well, if it comes back, it's you. M&Ms for melanoma. You're terrible. I can joke about it because it's mine.
Man.
And that's another thing I was able to do on the air because
we're friends.
I would joke about the cancer. Yeah. I wouldn't joke about someone else's cancer, of course, but I would joke about my cancer because I didn't want it to define me.
Yeah,
it's just what's happening to me at the moment. And we got a call from this older guy who said he had been given 6 months. It's always 6 months. That's not like the doctors are taught to say. You got 6 months. And then once it gets in somebody's head, their body starts shutting down. That's why it usually is accurate. But he said after hearing Jim Mann, no one just says Jim, joke about his cancer, and he goes, I started lighten up about mine, and he had gone past this, several years past that 6 months. So I thought, wow, I'm teaching people to lighten up a little,
man.
And I got that feedback a lot, that I just kind of lightened their day, which I thought, well, that's
cool.
There's some value there, right? And people are like depressed and they're going to work and they're not happy, and I just made them laugh enough.
Is it a spiritual thing that you draw from? I feel like your inside spiritual game is.
I would like to say yeah, because it sounds better. But yeah, I mean, it's just the way God made me.
Do you hear him speak to you?
Like, tell me jokes.
Maybe.
Use this one, Jimmy.
Maybe. Do you hear him?
Audibly, I don't.
You hear him in your heart, in your head kind of thing?
Definitely. Yeah, and that's one thing since the cancer is I have learned to slow down. I mean, I was always in a hurry and for absolutely no reason. It's just a chihuahua in me. I just feel like, I got to hurry. And then I realize, I don't know why.
No, I don't have to.
And now, of course, people think I'm retired, which I am not. But it's okay if I am, okay? But I'm like, I don't have to get up a certain time in the morning. So I'm able to spend more quality time in the Word. Not because I have to, but just because I want to.
Right.
And I've realized, being a Christ follower is not about the rules and not doing certain things. It's just about hanging out with Jesus.
It is.
And
and hearing from him and seeing his creation and seeing him in his creation and seeing him in people.
Yeah.
Man, he's been impressing that upon me big time. Because I'm often I don't like the distance between me and you. That's how I'm usually I lead with that. I don't like this environment if you are who you are because you're it.
Yeah.
I want things to be healed and I'm ready for you now.
Yeah.
And I want to see your face, I want to hug, enough of this crazy thing.
Not right now. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? but he always points me back to his people.
Yeah.
Always. He says, you can find me in my people. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't like them though.
It's true. Yeah. Some of them are kind of unlikable, but then again, that goes to people who are going through stuff we just don't know about. It makes them just, unlikable, or they just might be unlikable. I don't know. There are a few of those, but
some people are just hurting, man.
Yeah, most people are.
And angry.
Yeah. I'm never angry. It's just not a part of me, which is weird.
Did you ever have an angry thing that you got out of you?
Mm-mm.
Because I would have to ask my wife to see what she says.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'm a really angry person, but I had a season where I was very angry.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm very forgiving, and I don't think it's because I'm so spiritual. It's just my natural way. Maybe it comes from the fact that I don't feel like I deserve anything. So
maybe.
Yeah. Jesus, forgive.
Yeah. Because you're not owed anything.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Everything is truly man, I have gotten tenfold again today.
Yeah.
You don't follow that up with saying, this isn't fair.
Yeah.
Or I don't like them because you just said I got tenfold again today.
Even with politics, it's easy. If you're going to get mad, you'll get mad during the politics, whatever side you're on. But
man,
I'm like, it's obviously things are coming to a conclusion if you know the Bible at all. But then again, we like to put dates. We're like, we're not going to go another year. But I also realize God can switch things around.
Oh, man.
And extend it for 100 years if he wants to.
There's not much efficacy in trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
That's kind of a wasted endeavor.
But let me just say March 17th. See if I can get a shot at that one.
Remember, the Bible says any day that a man picks. It won't, you can't.
Okay.
It says that basically.
That could have been of any year, though. Yeah. But I'm like, and I'm at the point now, even if the cancer came back and just took me, sometimes it comes back with a vengeance and you're gone within a month. I know where I'm going and I'm kind of excited about it.
Oh, wow.
But at the same time, of course, I like to see grandkids. I don't have any grandkids yet. Maybe this year, my son and daughter-in-law, they said this year they're going to.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah.
Prayers for that.
Yeah, if that grandchild comes before then I don't want to go yet because I understand grandchildren just kind of, they mess you up.
Really?
Yeah. You just don't want to do anything other than be with your grandkids. Well, until the evening. All right, bye.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's because I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. is,
I think it's the other thing. I think it's that you feel like most of the beauty in your life has been a gift.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, because like I say, growing up, I always thought I couldn't be more than average. And even, I told you pick an instrument in elementary, and I told my mom I wanted to play drums. So she got me a trumpet. Thanks, Mom. I don't think you quite heard trumpet. I guess it's a little bit. And I was a year behind everybody. So I thought, oh, I'm going to be terrible. I'm going to be squawking and squeaking. And they've already had a year of, they'll be all perfect. So I go in there and I learned all my scales. And I go in there and they were squawking. And I wasn't. I became first trumpet the first week there. I thought, man, these people really suck. Because I can't be more than average, right?
Do you think you're a pleaser?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah. So you were like first trumpet, man.
Yeah.
Year one.
And then I was first.
I would imagine the bar was pretty low, brother.
It was. But in middle school, they put me in the jazz ensemble, and they made me first trumpet there. Hit all these solos.
God, I bet you were the cutest kid.
No, I was a little nerd. I said,
please text me a photo, man. I gotta see Jim Mann at 6, man.
They
full head of hair.
Hey, I did have a lot of hair.
Yeah. I saw some of the photos from his radio. They're like 20 years old. I didn't recognize you.
Yeah.
I think that's just the nature of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you gotta imagine at 11th grade, I didn't hit 100 pounds to the end of 11th grade.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I think I hope. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and my head was 60 pounds. So, and I had glasses at 2nd grade on. So I thought, well, why not throw a trumpet in my hands and make me more nerdy, right?
I want to hear more about like this one thing that we haven't brought up yet. When I asked you to be in our book club, right?
Men's That Read Club.
And we hung out, and I said, Jim, do you have a book suggestion? Do you remember yours?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, praise the Lord. It was The Shack.
Yes, it was.
Were you just trying to instigate?
No.
Okay.
But I remember The Shack coming out and people saying, oh, it's blasphemy because he's got a black woman as God the Father.
Right.
And they didn't mean it in a racist way or anything, but it's God the Father and a woman,
Right.
But I thought, okay, I always think, well, there's got to be a reason because, he's not making a point.
Yeah.
Put it in God's face, whatever. But so I read it because of that.
A long time ago.
Yeah. And
what was your connection to the author?
Actually, okay.
You told me, but I just can't remember.
I went to the music boat cruise, which again was a radio thing. And we're sitting at the dinner table.
Had you read it already?
I have not read it, but
okay,
I always
had
wanted
not read
to.
it, but you were at a function at his radio.
Yeah, and so we go around the table, and it's just two of us there from the radio station. The rest are from all different ministries and whatever. And so they're going around saying it was, and with blah 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 blah. And then we get around to this old guy. And he go, yeah, I wrote The Shack, and everyone just went, oh, what? And I'm like, oh,
that wrecked the Christian world, man.
Oh my gosh! He just smiled because he goes, he knows how people are going to react. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to read it real quick. So I read it when I got back home, and I got to the horrible part, where the little girl was kidnapped,
right.
and I couldn't read. I had to put it down because I had to do something else. I wasn't able to get back to it for a couple of weeks.
Oh my goodness!
My heart was just because that little girl was exactly my youngest girl's age at that time. And I was just picturing that. I thought this better get better, and then it did, of course, but. It was just a demonstration of how, and I never thought about this before because to me, serving God was doing things for Him, right? But in this portrayal, it was like you don't have to do anything; just hang out with us, as they worked him through his life and everything. But they're just like relax. I'm like, shouldn't they be doing stuff? But they're just hanging out. And I thought, my gosh, is that how heaven's going to be? Not people laying around, but I mean,
maybe
it's all about,
and doing stuff.
Oh yeah,
Creating
stuff has to be done.
cooking.
Right? But things you enjoy. Oh, the food! I couldn't wait to get to the food myself. Yeah, it was very funny. That and then when
Do you remember that author's name?
yes, I always get it wrong too because it's William something.
Yeah, Google it.
I always get it wrong because he came to Greenville and I couldn't go see him because
Oh man,
I had like 2 teeth pulled or something that old people have done just for the fun of it.
yeah.
And
What was the group's response to it? Because our group was very diverse. It was like some pastors and some like left and some right and some front and some back guys, and everybody was very different. What was the response? I don't really remember.
some of them reacted to it the same way that everyone does.
Some
Like
of
they
them were
get to
angry
that,
about that.
they get to the part about a black woman being representing God the Father,
Right.
but then when they read past, I thought it was all positive.
I
when
thought
they
it
read
was
past
too.
that because it was like, and I had heard his story personally about it.
How did you hear his story about it?
He was just telling. He spoke that one of those nights at the boat,
Oh,
but he talked about the only love he's ever known is from the tribal, because his dad was a missionary, and the tribal women in Africa. It was a black tribe, and the women are the only ones that showed him love. The men would rape him. He was sexually abused, and so God was actually just meeting him where he was.
the father was a missionary
Yeah, yeah.
and he was getting abused by the tribal men.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a crazy world.
And the,
Mm-hmm. Why doesn't it say?
oh man.
Yeah. So, and the whole thing is, we have God in a box. We have him with the white
Yeah.
beard and the robe, but he's really none of those yet. All of those.
Right.
I mean, he's at that moment what we need him to be.
Right.
Coming as a father,
Ugh.
he would have been.
That's hard for people to
stay with-
say.
Yeah.
That God is who I need him to be. A lot of people would really resist that, but
Yeah.
is God, I would suggest that God is well beyond that complex,
Yeah.
especially if he wrote the beginning and he wrote the end.
William Young.
William Young, the Shack, man.
I knew William was in there, and I thought,
Thank you for that book, by the way, Mr. Young.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, like one of my friends at the radio station, I had talked about it. I had just read it, and she goes, "Oh yeah, that's terrible," and stopped right at the black woman.
Man.
And
I did the first time I read it too,
Yeah.
I think.
His
I
own mom
stopped
did.
and I was like, it took me a minute
Yeah,
to process. And it's not because any race
right.
is or isn't, or any gender is or isn't, or biological sex is or isn't. It was just, it like made me integrate that new approach to thinking about God the Father,
Yeah.
and that's okay to pause,
Mm-hmm.
and it took a minute, but
Yeah.
I finished it the first time and then I reread it in group. That was fun.
Yeah. And you see the movie?
I don't know if I really plugged into the whole watching of it because I really enjoyed the book,
Yeah.
and often if I don't want it to take from
Yeah. They did a
my
good job.
experience.
I'll give you that. Because normally Christian movies are not that good. And I know that. I've been to a lot of premieres in radio, but they're getting better. But yeah, that and then The Chosen just made Jesus have personality for the first time. And so all that has been just helping me see Jesus in a different way.
The Chosen.
Yeah. Because, he had a sense of humor.
Man.
It's just, and of course, people fight against that, like, that part's not in the Bible. I said, no, but they're just kind of connecting things, how it could be. They're just making them human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like how would you write what was going on before the conversation?
Yeah.
Like to me, that's a normal thing that an author would do if they were trying to show a person,
Yeah.
which Jesus was.
Yeah.
Did you know that Mel Gibson is coming out with another?
Yep.
Do you have any access to him?
No.
Dang.
Okay.
I want to have
Friends
it.
of mine are his next door neighbor in one of his homes
God.
down in Florida. But that's, it's best I can do.
Man, I can't believe he described some of its nuance on Joe Rogan. Did you watch that interview?
Yeah.
Did you watch the whole interview?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have that much time.
I know, right? It was so much fun because Joe Rogan had just had Wesley. You remember Wesley's you remember that interview, Johnny? Joe had that. He had like an apologist on who was like a Bible, the actual study of the literature and parsing different broken fragments together. That's kind of the depth of this guy's expression. And of course, he was all the normal, savant on biblical literature and how do we determine truth and how do we create constructs of truth and like what's required for us to believe anything and all that kind of stuff anyway. And Rogan had him on and man, they tiptoed all around. And I felt like this fellow was just giving it a good first go in hopes that there'd be a few more conversations because he really didn't get pinned down. He didn't pin down and he didn't get pinned down in any way. Neither of them did. They played very nice. But then Joe Rogan had Mel Gibson on and Joe Rogan was firing him across Mel Gibson's bow.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? And and I was taken aback how unguarded Rogan was. And Mel Gibson finally was like, I got to take a bathroom break. And he broke the combo.
Yeah.
And left and then came back and then they didn't even broach it again. But it was wonderful because because one of the things he said is he said that, well, what do you think about all of the different artifacts of the Lucy? And Mel Gibson was like, have you heard of this one right here? And he quoted one of the artifacts, the findings of a skeletal system. And Rogan was like, no, I hadn't heard of that one. He said, well, this one was discovered that it was half ape skull and half human skull that they put together. It was a farce. And Rogan was like, it kind of really broke his frame. Like, people would do that?
Yeah.
And anyway, I say all that to say just, the reach of the Christian conversation, Jesus's ability to give people love, nobody can resist his style. And that's what was beautiful in The Chosen. Remember that one scene with little James?
Yeah. Yeah. That was, and that's a question we all ask.
Oh.
Especially a disciple.
I know, right?
Just do this and he's fine.
Any of us that have a pain point.
Yeah.
It's the same question. I love you.
Yeah. I mean, why?
We're in step.
It's always, why would my mother who didn't even believe, the family didn't believe then, why did he heal my mom?
Man.
And then my neighbor died of cancer and we just believed she would be healed. Wow. And my cousin, we all believed he'd be healed.
Man.
They're gone.
One day, I don't remember who it was, but it was probably I think it might have been Tolkien or C.S. Lewis. But one of them said that the first embrace of our Father in heaven will make all of the pain of our life seem like just a soft nightmare.
Yeah.
Because the embrace will be so comprehensive.
Think my hair will come back during that embrace?
Man, I don't know. God is a miracle worker, but
that's the first day. Give him a break. Right.
What form do you think you'll be in? Do you think it's gonna be a human form?
The more
did your mom speak to any of that? Did y'all talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, the closer I get to heaven, when I thought I was going to die and stuff, the more I realize, gosh, I don't know anything. All these concepts, all these boxes I put things in, or you think that's just the way it is. It's like we're all going to be blown away by how wrong we were about, what how the images that we have in our mind, not how wrong we are about salvation, stuff like things that matter. But I mean,
sonship or daughtership. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, we just get something in our head and we think, well, that's just how it's going to be. At least that's how I grew up anyway.
Yeah.
And that's why we have denominations and stuff. 'Cause everyone's so right. Drives me crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why we haven't evolved past that. But maybe that's a part of, maybe different groups will worship in heaven, which will be just somewhat of a representation of differences in worship style.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a Baptist-costal church.
Oh, you grew up in the Pentecostal?
Talk about messed up, yeah. And of course, people outside of that think we're handling snakes and swinging from chandeliers. I'm like, what? I'm like more Baptist than most Baptists. I was actually at going to a concert. I forgot, North Greenville. Their choir was singing, and one of our interns was
that's
singing.
Fun.
So she invited me to that, and I sat with her mom, who was like my age, and she goes, "So you go to a Pentecostal church?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Do y'all like believe the Bible?" Like, I don't know.
Pentecost old church was based on Pentecost.
Yeah. And then when
in the Bible,
when the music started, I'm just clapping like a Baptist, and she's like,
"Oh, she was the one that was like,
what
in the spirit?"
Yeah, like okay,
falling out in the spirit or something.
This is all so stupid. Anyway, but hey, well, just to wrap up my beautiful life, I am going back into radio now because I stopped doing the podcasts because I had done the Healing Strong, which is an organization out of Atlanta, talking to cancer survivors.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of stories, and I enjoyed it a lot.
That's to bed.
Yeah.
That's done for now.
Yeah. You can still hear it all. But after a while, you get tired of talking about cancer. You know, you like just step away from it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though the organization is great.
Is it still going?
Yeah, I'm still.
So people can find it.
Yeah. I'm still on the board.
We'll put a link to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great place.
Yep. I'll put a link to it. And so now in March.
Yeah, I'm going back into radio because I found out there's a lot of loose ends. Some people think I died.
Oh, wow.
I know listeners, because I just got a comment like 2 days ago saying, "Oh, I'm so glad I found your Facebook page." She goes, "I thought you had passed away." I said, "Nope, still here." So I like to kind of talk about, life after cancer.
Yeah.
And just kind of.
In a new season.
Yeah. And there's a channel at his radio called Classic His Radio, which is all the early songs that I was playing when I was first getting into radio. So to me, it's like I'm going to be geeking out. And I'll feel like I'm back there in my 30s.
Okay.
Playing all these great things.
And so people can find you there. Do you have your email and all that stuff put together that you can share?
Yeah. I'm still at jim@hisradio.net.
Okay.
.net. It's going to be net.
And the special place that they can find you is what on the website?
That hisradio.com has all the channels and everything on there.
Okay, and in the channels it'll be classics.
Yeah, there's one called Classic His Radio, and then there's the regular His Radio channel, and then there's His Radio Praise, which after we work out the kinks of this new automation and stuff and getting that set up, because there's so many things happening there. New building, new everything, new equipment, which is exciting.
That is very exciting.
Then I'm going to be doing the evenings on His Radio Praise, which is really where I could tell more of my story because it kind of fits
that's
the
fun.
genre. Whereas the Classic His Radio in the mornings, I'll be geeking out and maybe talking about some of the old stuff. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing.
Do you have a first, what's your first assignment? Do you have it? Do you know yet?
Basically, I mean, do
you have a first interview set up, or do you?
I have.
Can you give a teaser?
Well, what I'm going to do, because I had talked to Liz, who is now the station or the program director.
Okay, so if you have any problems, contact Liz.
Yeah, that's right.
Or if you want Jim back on the air, or I don't know what even to say.
I talked to her.
She's like, okay, here we go.
We overlapped by a month because she came in and I left.
Okay, wow, interesting.
And I said, I'm trying to leave before you get too attached to me. She goes, it's too late. That's so cute.
That's a good.
But no, she's great. She did secular radio in the area. Liz Riles, she's like 98.5.
Yeah, I recognize the name.
She's great. She's great. She goes, you can do whatever you want.
Cool, man.
She goes, I'm hands off. just be as creative as you want.
Fun.
So for the classic, I'm just going to bring in some of the old artists that are still kicking because they love talking about the old days. And I got a great connection in Nashville, a guy named Chris Hauser, who anything you hear on the radio, his hands have been a part of it. Oh, he's amazing, and he knows all of them. I mean, he's the one that pushed from Russ Taff, Amy Graham, Michael W. Smith. Right now, he's handling Lauren Daigle, who's sort of her.
No.
So he's like a friend to all of them. So, and I'm also working with him.
Yeah, I remember you telling me something you're doing else.
He's doing
the fellow you were doing that with?
Yeah, he's doing a podcast about just telling stories.
Is that the Florida guy?
No, he's in Nashville.
No, I remember that's what I thought you were starting back up.
Oh no, I'm just going to produce it for him.
Wow, cool.
And he's just going to tell stories because he's got so many stories. Because everyone keeps saying you got to just put that out there.
That's cool. And how can people reach that podcast? You know what it's called yet?
Don't know yet. We're still working on a name.
Okay, praise the Lord.
But I'll let you know. I'll let them know on my classic, His Radio.
Oh, yeah.
I got it rhymed right there.
Him. Oh, let me hear it again.
Well, I'll let you know on the classic, His Radio.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah. Coming up next, DC Talk. Hey, Toby's on the phone. He'd be an easy one because he's a good one. He stepped on my phone for crying out loud. He owes me.
Owes you.
So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it keeps me in there, and I can do it forever because I don't sound as old as I am, right?
I think just in this sit down, you've come to life.
Really?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it just it just brings color back to you.
Oh.
Just like it's just fun to do things that I think that you've been primed to do.
Yeah.
Just roll with it, have fun, cut up.
I might actually feel like I belong there.
I know, that's cool, man.
It took me forever to feel
Will you
that
be
way.
in the studio there, or will you be at home, or where will you be?
I'll start out in the studio because when COVID hit, they have a studio set up for everybody so they can do it live from their house because of COVID and all that stuff. So that's all. They'll give me a laptop and I can just do it all from home. Plus I have a studio at home, but I'd rather be in there because, I miss all the people there.
Oh man. Yeah.
And, they love me coming back.
Praise the Lord.
We all got along great. I mean,
yeah.
Everybody. And now the building seems so big. It's 2 stories and you don't even know who's there.
That's neat.
It's crazy.
Yeah, being out of corporate business, people that are in common stride are always fun to be with.
Yeah.
It's challenging when there are people that aren't in stride with you, but that's just a part of being a believer. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Common Man podcast. I really appreciate you. And it's been delightful for me to be raised up a bar because you are an uncommon man.
I am. Yes. Did I tell you about the mapping? Yeah, I didn't even feel it. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll do this again soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.